Hi, I'm Leslie, the fitness manager at Goodwin House Alexandria. Thank you for watching the video today. Hopefully you read the article, part 5 on the back, found it helpful. And today I'm going to go through and show some back exercises and stretches that you can do standing, in a chair, and also on the floor. So no matter what your comfort level is, if you need some extra support, there should be something in this video that you'll find useful. So, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at Goodwin House Alexandria, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, some of these will require, or not require, but some of these you can use weights or a band. Now, if you don't have weights at home, you could use 2 cans of food, 2 equal weighted cans of food, you know, like a can of tomatoes or something, you know, like a 16-ounce can of tomatoes. Or you could use milk jugs, you know, filled with water or something. So you could certainly get creative at home and get something, use something with weights or find something. A lot of people at home right now have stretch bands. This is also a very useful thing to have around for doing all kinds of different exercises. They're very, very, very inexpensive, and these can be found just about anywhere. Obviously you can get them on Amazon. You can also find them in Target and Marshalls and Home Goods and, you know, sporting goods stores. So you might want to get couple different colors, because they usually mean that there's a different resistance level. So as you improve or you get stronger, you can always have more resistance. The other way to add resistance on these stretch bands is to either, you know, if you need less resistance, is just giving yourself more band to work with, or bringing your hands in closer together and having less band so you have to pull more. And with a couple of the exercises that I'll be going through using the band, I will let you know what you can do at that point to give yourself more or less resistance. And then I'm also going to show some stretches using this is a yoga strap. It's got all the different loops. Again, you can find these in a lot of different places, but you don't even need one like this. If you have an old belt at home, you could use a belt as well. So that, or a towel, a rolled up towel, so you can use that as well. And you can also just not even use the strap at all. So the first thing I'm going to go through I have my cheat sheet, are the standing exercises. Now, for the exercises themselves, I always recommend starting with doing 10 to 15 reps. If you're just starting, you can do 10, see how you feel, and as you get stronger, you can always add reps going up to 15, and then you can always add sets, and that means how many times do you do them? So maybe you'll do 2 sets. You do 1 set of 15, take a rest, or do an exercise, and then do it again. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. So the first one we're going to do is a bent over row, and this is really good for working those back muscles. You can use, we're going to do a single arm. So, and I'll show you using both arms as well. A single arm is good if you need to have a hand free for balance. So you can do this next to a chair, and you can then have one hand free for balance. Again, I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can use this to do this exercise, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to start with 1 weight. I'll do a few with 1 weight, and then I'll show you using the band as well, and then I'll give you another option for using both arms at the same time. So doing a bent over row, we're in a split stance. That's going to also work your balance a little bit. So we're going to take are, I'm going to hold the weight in my right hand, and I'm going to step back with my right leg so that I have a nice wide stance here, or as I say, it's a split stance, okay? And we're going to start off nice and straight, and then hinging at our hips. Notice that I'm not just bending over, I'm coming forward at my hips. This is a little unstable, so again, you have your chair next to you. You can use this for balance, but it's a great way to work your balance at the same time. Make sure your knee is pointing forward, so you can see my knee forward over my toes, and I have the weight towards the heel of my forward foot, okay? So I'm going to get in my position again. I'm going to come forward. My arm is down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my elbow back, squeezing those back muscles, and then I'm going to lower it with control. So we don't want to just pull it up and then just let our arm drop. We want to pull it up and let it down with control, okay? So I'm going to do one more here. Good. All right. Let's do it with a band. So I'll do my other foot. I'll do the other side, the other arm, the other foot. So I'm going to step on it with my left foot, and we're just going to hold the band. Big step back. And we're going to hold it in our left hand. Now, actually we're going to hold it in our, sorry. I'm going to switch legs since we already did the other leg. I'm going to put my right leg forward, and I like to do opposite sides here, okay? So my right leg is forward, my left hand is going to hold the band, and I'm going to get into that bent over position, not bent over as meaning bending my back, but hinging at my hips. My abs are engaged, and then I'm going to take my hand further down the band so that I have more resistance on the band. Your back muscles, you have a lot of muscles back there. They're big, you have some big muscles, so you can use a little bit more resistance back there, okay? And again, we're going to pull our elbow back and then release it with control. Now, if you find that's too much resistance, you can bring your hand back, and we're going to pull it back and down, back and down. Good. My knee stays straight over the middle of my toes. It's over, my knee is over my ankle, and I'm breathing as well. Good. All right. Now, if you want to do both arms at the same time, you can stand on your band, kind of stand in the middle. And same thing, you're going to push your hips back just a little bit, hinging at your hips. Notice my head is in line with my spine. And I'm going to grab the band, and I'm going to pull those elbows back. And I'm thinking about also squeezing those back muscles in towards the spine. So I'm bringing them together in the middle. Okay? So same thing if you want to use weights. You're going to stand up nice and straight, come forward, and then pull. So again, 10 to 15 to start. You can add reps and you can add sets. Okay? Next one, you can use with weights. I like using the band with this, and again, if there's an exercise and you don't have the equipment, then just don't worry about doing it. There's plenty of other exercises in here for you to do. This is a lat pull down, and you can do it with one arm or two. So your arms are going to take the band up high. Notice that my arms are not straight up overhead. My arms are kind of in front of my ears a little bit. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to do both arms at the same time. You're going to bend your elbows, pull that band out to the side, and bring the band down to the top of your chest. Really squeezing all these muscles in your back. And then you're going to let it up, and you're going to bring it down. You're going to let it up, and down. So no need to bring it all the way down to here. You're just going to pull that band, bring it right under the chin to the top of the chest and up. You can also do one arm at a time. So you're going to pull it down and up, down and up. Good. Make sure your shoulders are down. This also gives a little bit of an isometric exercise to that arm that's staying up, because this arm, my left arm right now, has to stabilize as I'm pulling against it, okay? So those are your lat pull downs. Okay, so our good mornings for deadlift. So I'm going to do this first with no equipment, all right? So you can just focus on the form. And we're going to start up nice and straight. You could even cross your arms in front. And this is about hinging at the hips. This is also going to work the back of your thighs, your hamstring area, and your glutes, and your core a little bit. So everything, as you probably have seen from the articles, our body is so connected. There's not just, we can't just really isolate, certain parts from the rest of the body. Everything is supposed to work together. So we're going to cross our arms, we're going to stand up nice and straight. And again, we're going to hinge at the hips. So I'm going to push my hips back, keeping my back neutral. My abs are going to engage, belly button pulled in. And I'm only going to come over as far as is comfortable for me. So for you, that could be completely different. And it also depends upon your flexibility in the back of your legs. You're going to feel a stretch in the back of your legs. Abs are tight. And here's the key thing. Keep your abs engaged. And now you want to squeeze the back of your legs to pull yourself up. So we're going to come forward. And we're going to come up. I like to do this a little bit on the slower side, and I'm listening and I'm paying attention to what's going on in my body, on in my back, and I'm pulling up. So I'm pulling up from the back of my legs, I'm pulling up from my core as well. So we can add resistance. So you can always start this move with no resistance until do it until you're comfortable with the movement, and then you can always add resistance. So if you have a band, you're going to step on the band, and we're going to grab that band. Try to get really grab so you have some resistance. When you stand up, you can feel the pull of the band. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just hinge forward. Now your band is going to go slack here. That's okay. You can even grab it down a little bit more. Now abs are engaged, and I'm going to squeeze the back of my legs. I'm going to come up, and I have to really pay attention because now I have resistance, and I'm coming all the way up to standing so that I'm standing up nice and straight. And we're going to come over. Good. And we're going to come up. Good. And come over. If you feel like you want a little bit more resistance coming up, you can just walk your hands down and then come up. Remember to keep those abs engaged and squeeze the back of your legs. Other exercise. And the other important thing is, please remember to always check with your doctor first. These are just general exercises. They may not be right for you, so always check with your doctor first. All right, so if you want to add some weights, you're just going to hold the weights right at in front of your thighs. And again, all I'm going to do, I'm not going to move my arms. I'm just going to come forward, let my arms come down, and then squeezing the back of my legs, keeping my abs tight as I pull myself up. So using my core and using the back of my legs prevents me from using my lower back to pull myself up, because we don't want to use our low back to do the work, all right? So since I have the weights, we're going to do some side bends, and we're going to do them weighted. So you can stand up nice and straight, arms down by your side, and we're going to just go side to side. And you might feel a little stretch, and when you come up, so as I'm going up to the right, I want to pull up with those muscles on the right side. So again, try to get your mind connected with your body. Come up, and let's go to the left. Again, you can hold cans of food here, you know, a water jug, water bottle. All right. And with the band, it's the same thing. You can step on the band, get some resistance on it, and then come up and go to the other side. Good. And breathe. Always remember to breathe. You don't want to hold your breath while you're doing exercises. All right, couple stretches that we're going to do. One is we're going to do a standing cat and cow. So you can have your hands on your thighs if you want. If you need a chair, you can always have your hands on the back of a chair. We're just going to, I like to kind of have my hands supported on my thighs, and then I'm just going to pull my belly button in. I'm going to inhale. So I'm going to arch my back up like an angry cat, pulling my belly button in towards my spine and trying to push up towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to exhale, push my belly to the floor, and lift my head. And then inhale up. And then exhale. Inhale up. And exhale. Good. It's also getting your pelvis forward, you know, getting that forward tilt and that backward tilt. So you're just working on a little spinal mobility there, and it helps to stretch it out. And final stretch is our hip flexor stretch. A lot of times if my back is feeling really tight, especially if I've been sitting for a long period of time, I really try to stretch out the front of my body, my psoas, and my hip flexors, because these muscles do attach, they come to the front and they attach the spine and the hip, and they can be pulling the back out of whack. So a lot of times, if I just do some stretching at night, my back feels a lot better. So if you need stability, if you need a little bit of help with balance, you can have a chair next to you. You might need to switch sides with the chair as we switch legs. So if the chair is to your left right now, we're going to take a big step back with our right leg. And I've done this stretch in one or two other videos. And we're going to be up nice and straight. I'm going to do one, I'll do my right leg back facing you, and I'll do my left sideways so that you can see your form from both directions. And we want to be up nice and straight, and then we're going to push our hip forward. And we're breathing. You should start to feel a stretch in the front of the hip, maybe in the top of your thigh and your quadriceps. Now, for a deeper stretch, and this is where you may need to hold on, is we're going to reach with our right hand, the same side as the back leg. We're going to reach for the ceiling, and then we're going to bend over as we continue to push forward. And we're breathing. Now, to get a little deeper, we're going to take our right shoulder, and we're going to drop it back a little bit. So almost like I'm just taking it back, slightly rotating, but I'm pulling it back as I push forward. So you should try to focus on what is going on in the front of your hip. You may feel this in your lower back, but think about where are you feeling it. Good. And relax. So now we're going to take the left leg back. You can get to the other side of your chair, and I'm going to go sideways so that you can see me. So we're going to take that left leg back, and notice that my knee is over my ankle, and it is going right over the middle of my foot, and I keep it behind my toes, all right? So I'm pushing forward, and my body is up nice and straight. You can also get a nice deep stretch here if you just kind of tuck your pelvis under as you're pushing forward. So this is another variation. You can feel that stretch get really right into the front of the hips. And then I'm going to relax. I'm going to take that left arm up, reaching for the ceiling again. I'm going to bend towards the right as I'm still pushing forward. And then I'm going to take my left shoulder and I'm going to drop it back slightly as I'm pushing forward. And we're breathing. Good. And relax. Woo. So, nice deep breath in and out. Good. Hopefully you're feeling good so far. All right. So I'm going to go to the seated exercises. Don't mind my notes here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So we're going to sit up. We're going to start. I'm going to try to do most of what we just did, but in the seated position. So the same thing with our bent over row. I'm going to start with the weights or your cans of food or water bottles. We're going to sit forward on the edge of our seat. Same thing. Sitting up straight. You're going to hinge forward at your hips. Abs are tight, arms are down, and you're going to pull those elbows back, squeezing those back muscles together. Good. The image I like to try to tell my classes is think of a lemon being right on your spine in the middle of your back, and you're trying to bring those back muscles together to squeeze them. You want to make lemonade, which is what we need to be doing right now. So you can use the weights. If you have a band, you're going to put it under your feet. Like so. Grab your band. So here, because you're seated, you want to really grab, down. And we're going to sit up nice and straight, hinge forward. Same thing. You're going to bring those elbows back and then release. And elbows back and release. Elbows back. Good. Another option is to take, sitting on the edge of your seat, take your legs straight out, sitting up nice and straight, and pull those elbows back. So you can also do it this way. Good. And you breathe. All right. So, same thing with the lat pull downs. Just as we did standing, you're going to take that strap, or the band up, and you can do two arms at the same time. Just bend the elbows, kind of bringing your elbows, so you can see when I bring my elbows down, they come a little bit behind me. That really gets my back muscles engaged in the movement. And I'm pulling down, and I'm pulling down. And again, you can do one arm if you want. If it's a little easier for you than doing two, you can do one arm at a time. Just hold that other arm up. That's your, as I like to say, it's your anchor point. All right? Our deadlifts. Okay. Since I have the band, I'll just start with the band. Same thing. I can have my feet on the band here, and I'm going to grab down pretty far. I'm going to sit up nice and straight. Try to have your arch right over the band so that the band doesn't pull out from under your feet. Okay, if you just have it under the ball of your foot or your heel, sometimes the band comes out. So we're going to sit up nice and straight, and again, we're going to just hinge forward. Your abs get tight, and even if you're seated, you still want to keep your abs tight. You still want to squeeze the back of your legs and come up. Okay? Get this band, whoops. So we're going to come forward. Give yourself more so you have a little bit of resistance, and then pull yourself up, squeezing the back of your legs and pulling up from your core. And you're going to come forward. Hinging is something as we get older we want to be able to do and do correctly, because we often start just doing a bend. You know, we just bend over and we arch our back, and that's not as good for the back. Your core is not, your back is not supported. When you're hinging, your core can engage, it can support the lower back, and it's a much safer movement because you're also, when you're lifting, you want to hinge, and then you can use the lower body to help pull you up, so you're not just using lower back muscles. Same thing, we can do our deadlift with weights. So we're going to sit up nice and straight. Weights are down by our side. And we're just going to hinge forward. And then I'm squeezing back of my legs and my core to come up. Okay? Side bends. So same thing. We can just go side to side, come up. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing side bends, so first of all, if you have a chair at home that does not have arms, that's a better option for you. But you want to make sure when you're doing side bends that you think about being between two narrow walls. All right, so if you, as you bend to the side, if you fall forward, you'll hit your forehead on the front wall. And if you're too far back, you'll hit the back of your head. So these walls are very narrow, basically fitting just your face and your body, so that you have to stay up nice and straight as you go side to side. Really focusing on using these side muscles to help pull you up. So you can use them with weights. You can use your hands at your ears or on your shoulders and just go side to side. And you can also use your band. Same thing. Just grab. I don't know if the band will work as well. I like the weights. But you can go side and side. Okay? Staying up nice and straight. When you're sitting up nice and straight, you also have to use those core muscles. So you're getting that extra benefit as well. Okay, now the next one is some trunk rotations. Just be careful if you have any spinal issues. But you can have your arms crossed. You can have your hands on your shoulders or at your ears. And I like to have my hands at my ears for me, because I can also pull my elbows back, which opens up the front of my body. It opens up the chest and the front of the shoulders, where so many of us are tight from sitting over a computer or reading or, knitting or doing art or whatever, but we tend to be over. So we want to open up the front of the body. That's also going to allow your lungs to work better. You've got more space. So you're sitting up nice and straight. Shoulders are dropped, not up to your ears. We're going to inhale. And we're going to exhale and turn to the right. And then inhale back to center. And exhale. Good. And then we're going to inhale back to center and exhale to the right. And inhale and exhale. So again, be careful. The other one is we can cross our leg. If you can cross your leg, if you've not had a hip replacement, that's fine. If you've had a hip replacement, you can just keep your legs side by side. And crossing our right leg over, we're going to take our left hand, put it on the side, on the outside of that right leg. We're going to sit up nice and straight, and then turn to the right. You can use your right hand to grab a part of the chair to help pull you around. So you're getting some rotation in your trunk. Good. And let's switch. So now we'll cross our left over our right, and we're going to sit up straight and looking over our shoulder. Particularly for those of you who are still driving, this is a good stretch to do because it's allowing you to look over your shoulder, see if there's traffic coming. Good. And come back to center. Another nice stretch is the knee to the chest. So let's take our right knee. I like to grab underneath the knee. I don't like pulling on my knees. So I like to grab under the knee and pull the knee into the chest this way. And again, we're going to sit up straight. Now, this one I didn't do standing, but you can also do this standing as well. So you can stand and bring your knee into the chest. Make sure you have a chair nearby. Okay, so you can do the stretch standing as well. So knee into the chest. And then you can bring the knee across, so kind of towards that opposite shoulder. So you may feel the stretch a little bit in the hip area. Good. And let's do the other side. Same thing, you can do the standing, knee to the chest. And then you can bring it across. So getting a stretch through the hip. You may feel it in different places as well. But try to really think about where am I feeling it as I go through the movements. As I tell my residents, don't just try to do the movement as I'm telling you. Think about where are you feeling it as well. Because your body's going to tell you where you're tight. Okay, cat and cow, a seated cat and cow as well. So hands on your thighs to help support you. And again, we're going to take a deep breath in, inhale, and kind of lower the head. Pull our belly button in towards our spine. Arching our back up. And then exhale and push the belly to the floor. Lift the head up. And inhale. So you're also working that pelvis area. And exhale. So as you exhale, you're kind of pushing your pelvis back. And let's do it one more time. As we inhale, we're kind of pulling it up, trying to pull our pelvis towards our ribs. And then push that belly to the floor. Good. All right. Now again, if any movement hurts, it shouldn't hurt. Never do anything that causes you pain. You don't want to move into pain. So if you're doing a movement and at a certain point you start to feel pain, then either don't do that exercise or don't go past that point where you start to feel pain. Always work within your range of motion. And our hip flexor stretch. I'm going to turn to the right. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, and I'm going to use my chair to help hold me so I don't fall off my chair. And you're going to take that left leg, and you're going to drop it down so the knee is to the floor, and you're going to slide that leg back as far as you can. A lot of people don't have the flexibility to do this, so just go where you can. And again, you You can hold the back of the chair. You can hold the chair arm if you've got arms on the chair. If you don't, then you just can hold the back of the chair. Same thing. Want your body up nice and straight. Raise that left arm, same side as the back leg. And we're still going to turn. We're going to bend towards that chair. Bending to the right. I'm going to get a nice stretch down my side, also in the front of the hips. And then I can still drop my shoulder back. So now you can see from the side, I'm just kind of pulling that shoulder back a bit, just a little, and I feel that stretch get a lot deeper. Good. So let's do the other side. Let's turn. And we're going to drop that leg back behind us. And we're up nice and straight, right? I know you're all sitting up nice and straight, good posture, using that core. And then we're bending to the side. And then we're going to drop that shoulder back. Good. And relax. Okay. So we are going to go down on the floor now. So I would recommend that you have a mat, and if your head or your neck has a tendency to go forward when you're lying down, if you find that your neck is up like this, that you can't get your head down to the floor in a comfortable position, please make sure that you have either a towel or a pillow or a blanket or something under the head to support your neck, okay? We don't want you to be uncomfortable and to have any issues. All right, so I don't think we are, okay, there's going to be one exercise where I may use the band, but you really don't need any weights or band on this lying down part. This is going to be a lot of stretching down here, and if you can get down to the floor, then I recommend doing some of the stretches down there, because I feel it's so important that if you're able to get to the floor, okay, and get back up, that you want to continue to practice that, because it's a good skill and it's a good thing to be able to know what to do and how to get up from the floor, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on some side planks. So we are going to do some planks here. If you need to, you can get something for some extra cushion. I like to roll my mat up and put it under my elbow. Now, if you have some shoulder issues, it may or may not work for you, but I'm going to give you some modifications with the side plank as well. So notice that a lot of these exercises are working the core as well. Again, your core and your back are very connected. So we're working everything here. So a side plank. If you need a little bit more assistance, your legs can be stacked, but you want your feet behind you. We don't want your knees out in front. You should be in as much of a straight line from head to knee as possible. Your elbow is directly under your shoulder, and you're not sinking into your shoulder. You're staying up through your shoulder. And you're going to stay forward. We're not going to be rotated in any way. And we're going to just lift our hips up and then down. You're going to lift up. You're going to feel your muscles through your core engage, helping to lift up, especially on on the left side. You're using these to help push you up. Good. So the next level is to have the top leg out. And then you can still have one leg down for some support and some help, and coming up and down, up and down. Good. And the last one, which is a little bit more advanced, is having both legs out and then lifting that body up and lift. This puts a lot more stress on the shoulder and the arm and the neck. So be careful, and if you have any of those issues, this may or may not be the exercise for you. Remember, always check with your doctor, and not everything I'm going over today is perfect for everybody out there. You all have to know what works best for you, what your limitations are, and pick and choose wisely. So our next one is just a regular plank. And again, I'm going to go over your modifications, your progressions. So if you need a bit more support, if you're just starting, you want your arms right underneath the shoulders. So you can see my arms aren't out here. My elbows and the top part of my arm is right under my shoulder, and my legs are out, and I'm up. I'm not sinking into my shoulders. And I'm going to keep my knees down, and I'm just going to lift up a little bit. Notice that my hips are not pushed back. I'm in a nice straight line from head to knees. And I'm just off the ground a little bit. So my belly is off the ground, my abs are nice and tight. All right, and then you can come down. Same thing, if you need to, you can have one leg out for a little bit of support. You can also do a plank, same thing, high on the knees. This is probably a little bit easier. So you can see that I'm in a nice straight line. I'm up through the shoulders. My hands are right under the shoulders, and my hips are not pushed back. And forward, abs are tight. We don't want our back to sink, and we don't want our back up. And again, you can have one leg out. From here, you can come up, both legs out. And then you can also do a full plank on your forearms. So lifting up, making sure that your hips aren't popped up and your hips aren't sinking. That's not necessarily good for the back, but you want to be in a nice straight line and your abs are engaged throughout the movement. All right. Next one, quadrupeds or bird dogs. These are really good for your lumbar and pelvic stability. The idea is to not let your hips rotate very much. So you're going to be on all fours. And again, your arms are right under the shoulders. Your knees are under the hips. And if you need to, you can always put some extra cushion underneath your knees and your hands. And you're up nice and straight through your shoulders. And you can start this with one limb at a time. So you can raise one arm, then the other, lift a leg, lift the other leg. Now notice when I do that, I'm not letting my hips rotate. So your core has to be engaged to keep your hips level, all right? So again, you can go one limb at a time, really reaching, stretching. Other arm, making sure that you're engaging these muscles behind your shoulder and in your upper back as you raise your arm. Take a leg out, keep your hips level, straight out behind you, or as straight as you can. Notice I'm not rotating, so I'm keeping my hips level. And when you're ready, you can then do an arm, the opposite arm and leg. So you can extend. This is where that stability comes in, because a lot of people right here don't have it and they start to rotate. And then you'll switch. And your abs are nice and tight. You're staying up through the shoulder and staying level. Hopefully I'm staying pretty level through my hips. Okay? And breathe. Whew. All right, so we're going to do some pelvic tilts. Pelvic tilts are really good for helping to release a tight back. And you're really using your abs to move your spine. So you're going to lie down, knees can be bent, and you want to focus on, and you, if you want, just to feel what's happening, because your hand, your fingers can be on the side of your pelvis, kind of in your lower abdomen area. You're going to draw your belly button in and tilt your pelvis towards your ribs. So you're kind of pushing that back down to the floor. You can feel it all tighten up. And now we're going to relax. And we're going to pull it in again. So it's helping to stretch out that lower back a little bit. And relax. Use your abs. So let's take a deep breath in. And exhale. And pull those abs in. And pull our pelvis towards our ribs. It feels really good. So again, it's getting some mobility into your spine, can help stretch out that lumbar area. Good. All right, next, bridges. I think everybody knows bridges. This is really good, really good for working the muscles in the lower back and the glutes. So the glutes are very important. And when we go up in our bridge, we want to come down one segment of our spine at a time. I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can progress this movement as well. So we're going to have our legs bent, and you want your legs about hip width apart. And it's important to keep your knees, you don't want your knees to fall in and cave in. If you have a small pillow or a small ball, you can put them right between the knees to keep your knees in alignment with your toes. Okay? So your arms are going to be right by your side. And we're going to inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to push through the heels and lift our hips up. Abs are tight. Notice I'm not just arching my back, I'm lifting, I'm squeezing my glutes and pushing through the heels. And now I'm going to come down one vertebrae at a time. Let's do it again. Let's come up in a nice straight line, keeping your shoulders on the floor. And then we're going to come down one segment at a time. Let's do it one more time. Let's come up. Abs are tight, tight, tight. No arching that back. Your glutes, your bum is squeezed. And down. Your knees are staying straight. So you can add a little bit of resistance. Make those glutes work a little harder. You can take a band. You can even, if you have weights at home, you can take one weight right here, or you can take two weights, one on each right at the hip. Right, like that, or put your, your canned food right there, and then you've got a little bit of resistance. So feel free to do that as well. You're going to grab the band in your hands and just hold the band to the floor, and then we're going to go ahead and come up, and you're going to push against that band. So those last inch or two, you have some resistance. Your glutes have to work a little bit harder, and then we're going to come down. Good. Let's come up. Again, we're not arching our back up, we're lifting, and abs are engaged. Let's do it one more time. Feels really good. And come up. All right, another way you can progress this is there's two more ways. You can take it to a single leg. So you're going to have one leg up, and the other leg is going to do all the work. And again, you want to focus on keeping your pelvis and lumbar area stable. So you don't want the body rocking back and forth. So we're going to push up. And again, you don't want your body like teeter-tottering here. And then we're going to come down. We're going to come up and down. Let's do it one more time. We're going to come up and down. Good. Now, we're going to add some resistance. I'll just do the same leg. I'm going to put the band underneath the foot and hold that band down to the floor. Again, you may have to play with the resistance a little bit. So now I'm going to get a lot of resistance coming up. And I really have to work. My glutes are really working to push myself up. And my core has to stay engaged. Because I don't want to use the lower back. I don't want to use my lumbar area to do this work. Good. All right. Hopefully you got some options out of the bridge, the little bridge series there. We're getting along. We have about 3 more stretches to do, 3 more exercises. Here we can go ahead and take our knees to the chest. So with the stretches, I like to hold the stretches for about 20 to 30 seconds is what I recommend each time you do the stretch. That actually is how much time is needed to tell the muscle that's what you want it to do. So you want that muscle to know that it has to stretch. When you just do like a 2-second stretch, the muscle thinks that you're going to hurt it, and it's just not going to stretch out. So my knees are to my chest, and I've just held it, and I can relax. And then I can do it again. Feels really good. And again, don't let your back arch. You want to bring those knees to the chest. You know, have your abs engaged a little bit, and just keep your back neutral. And you can also do a single knee to chest. So you can pull it in, have your other leg down, and breathe. Remember, you want to breathe the stretching as well, and then you do the other leg. Good. Let's put our feet down, knees bent again. So our trunk rotation, this is our lying trunk rotation. Again, if you have any spinal issues and rotation is contraindicated, then please be very careful or don't do this, or check with your doctor first. I like to have my arms out to the side, and my knees are bent, my legs are together. And I'm going to drop, first I'm going to start by just dropping my knees down. Now, depending again upon how much flexibility you have in your body, your knees can come down. For some people, they may only come this far, and that's okay. Go where you can. And what I like to do here is arms out, I turn my head in the opposite direction. So now I'm getting a nice neck stretch. Keeping your shoulders down to the floor. Again, you're going to hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Bring it up. We're going to drop to the other side. So I'm going to drop to the other side, and I'm going to turn my head in the opposite direction. And we're breathing, of course. The other thing you can do is you can just kind of do more of like a, just dropping those knees side to side. Nice and easy. You can keep your arms out. I'm going to add one more thing to the end here because I think it's a great little stretch. Good. And then we're going to do our cat and cow, which is so good for stretching out the lower and the mid back. So we're going to come on to all fours again. Again, we're up through our shoulders, arms right under the shoulders, knees in front of, knees in front of the hip, under the hips. And we're going to draw our belly button in towards our spine, push our back up. Here you can get a really good push. And then we're pushing our belly to the ground, lifting the head up a little bit. We draw that navel in. You can kind of feel stretching in the back and the upper back. And push your belly down. And one more time, let's draw it in. And bring it up. Good. All right, the final that I'm adding on to the end here is a great little, and also you can use it as a little bit of a meditative thing, is you're going to get a chair. I don't even know, I think this will be the right height for me, but it's here and this is what I'm going to use for right now. And you're going to scoot and get your legs up onto the seat of the chair so that your legs are at 90 degrees. So you want your leg all the way to your knee supported, okay? So make sure you have a chair that has a good deep seat, and then you're going to bring yourself, you don't want to be back like this, you want a good 90-degree angle here. Again, if you need to, you can always add something underneath your legs. You can also, if you've done yoga, it's getting up next to the wall and getting your legs straight up against a wall. So you can do that too, but I'm going to use the chair version here. And you're just going to lie here, arms down, and I like to use it, I like to close my eyes and just use it kind of meditatively. And just spend a minute or two just lying here. Think about your body, where you're holding stress. Just try to breathe, focus on your breathing, relax the muscles. What this allows your hips to do is that they just kind of fall open. They just will kind of, instead of you're sitting or doing something and forcing them into a position, you're just allowing your body to kind of fall back where it needs to be. So you would just lie here and close your eyes. You could, put the lights down, put some music on, and just spend a couple minutes. And then when you're done, you can get up, and hopefully you'll feel much better. So, again, check with your doctor. This is certainly not all the things that you can be doing for your back, but I tried to give some strengthening exercises and some stretching that you could easily do in the home with either things that you might have already or food items that you might have at home to use for weights. And again, please feel free to reach out to me at Goodwin House Alexandria. Again, I'm Leslie LaPlace. I'm the fitness manager here. And stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.